Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Midnight Paint and Body channel. I am John, and this week's repair is some collision damage on a 2016 Volkswagen Touareg. So yes, this week's job is this little hot rod here. So while it probably doesn't look like much, we've got damage to, obviously, our rear door. Now it probably only looks like scrapes, but it's actually flattened in really good here. This is a bit of a body line going down there, and this is completely dished. So we're going to need to pull that out. We've got, just a slight little wobble in our quarter panel where it's rubbed, and then just a gouge in the bumper cover. Looks like somebody's tried to touch it up a little bit. Fella that owns this car bought it with this damage. He said he got it for a good deal because it had some damage on it, so brought it up to me to get it fixed. The other thing is this plastic trim, so our wheel opening molding is really gouged up, and our lower door molding, I haven't located those yet. I actually need to phone Volkswagen here this morning once they are open and see if I can get them, because I checked my aftermarket supplier and there is no stock anywhere, as has been the trend with parts lately. So I'm going to start just with a little tear down, try and get some of this plastic stuff off with its lovely one-way clips that will probably all break. Get our tail light out, get door handles out, and yeah, typically German cars are about my least favorite to work on because they're always a little, because they're very well built, often overbuilt is what I find with these. But this stuff seems like it should be straightforward. I believe these are all just clipped on in the handles. I should actually be able to take off without pulling the interior panels. I'll show you that when we get to it. So when I talk about overcomplicated things, and this isn't overcomplicated, but I want to show you guys this retainer. I've never seen this before. So to get this tail light out, there's just this black cover over this end of the tail light. There's two Torx bolts threaded in there, and in here, so you see that little hex in the upper hole. So you gotta get a 10mm on that guy. And then watch this little retainer. You give it a half turn, it opens up. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. So, half turn to open it up, and then the tail light slides out. Now, usually any other kind of car, they have some kind of friction fit retainer in there. But yeah, and it's like, this looks like it's not, looks like it doesn't fit right, but that is how it fits to the body. So, pretty interesting. I've never ever seen that before. And that's why, any of this stuff, if you work on modern cars all the time, you know all these little tricks. If you are like me and you just kind of work on a little bit of everything, you have to learn on the fly a lot of the time. These door handles as well. You know, any, I don't know, pretty much any GM, pretty much all modern cars have the same setup. Usually a Torx bolt. You loosen off, you pull out this part of the door handle, then the front part pulls out. These don't have anything in there, so there's got to be a trick to them. I'm thinking it's something with a half turn, but I'm actually going to Google that before I get digging into it, because I just don't know how those come out for sure. But that's okay, they can come out after. Well, I had to go to the Google for the door handle, but sometimes it's better than just having it or breaking something. So I don't know that you guys are going to be able to see in there, but you just need a little hook tool on these. Let's just have a little release. Yeah, you probably can't see that, but that little guy pulls back. Man, like, it doesn't pull back much, just maybe 1/8 of an inch. So now this should just release from there. Set the camera up. And if you're wondering why I take the front door handle out, this damage is coming up pretty far. I think we will blend our color into the front door just to be safe. Come on. Ah, it's just sticking on the gasket. So that guy will pull out, and then, like any other modern car, gotta pull back on the handle and it releases. Drop that under the car. There we are. So there's our door handle, and obviously assembly will just be the opposite. That lock back in there so we don't lose it. Make sure I have it the right way. And then that gasket should just pop off of there as well. Alright, so same thing on the back one, only it's quite a bit deeper, so I'm probably going to use something like this. So I will re-bend this piece of really heavy wire and I make a little hook on it. That's kind of what I use that thing for. Going to pull this dent out a little bit here, guys. So you can see this has a body line, runs right down here. This is squished right in right there. So what we want to do is kind of pull on that body line. So I'm going to put a couple pins on there. Gently work this out. Alright, now just skim a body filler. So now, there's always guys on the internet that are going to tell you that you have to epoxy prime before putting body filler on. That is an absolute myth. You can put your body filler over epoxy if you're working on a restoration where you've got panels in bare metal for extended periods of time. Absolutely, epoxy the car, do your body work over the epoxy. But it is not necessary. I have never seen a body filler that says you have to put it over epoxy. Read the can. Read the technical data sheets. Talk to the rep. But I have never seen one that says it must be put over epoxy. They all say they are made to be used over bare metal. They have the chemicals in them that protects the metal. That is how they are formulated. And some guys are absolutely adamant that no, you have to epoxy first. And I've said to guys on the internet when that's come up, I mean, I don't get into internet arguments, but I've challenged guys, well, show me where it says that, and no one ever has. Now, that might look like a lot of filler. Like I always say, I always put it on fairly heavy, taking most of it off. I just like to do it in one coat. I hate ever having to recoat body filler. So we're going to let that set for 10-15 minutes and block it off. As you can see, I actually do have a small little low spot there, so I'm going to mix up just a little hair of filler and fill that little spot before I take this all the rest of the way down. So the reason I am applying that little bit of filler midway through sanding is so that this will all still be taken down evenly, but I'm not completely done sanding my existing filler. So this, of course, is rounded here, so I'm using a round block, which is in fact a rolled up magazine. It's been in my toolbox for years. So just to kind of show you, you don't always have to have expensive tools. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I am just going to feather all this back with some 240, and we'll back it into the booth and get some primer on it. Good morning, everybody. It is next day. It is super early, like 5:30 in the morning, but that's just because once you turn 50, you can't seem to sleep past 3 a.m. or me anyway. So got a repair in primer yesterday, so I'm going to start block sanding this. So one little trick I'll show you, I guess. So as you know, we have a body line here, so I mean we've got that shape back nicely, but yeah, a couple tricks you can do with stuff like that if you're concerned about getting the body line just right. You know, there are tools. You can have a little pencil and a little fixture that will draw your body line on there, or sometimes just a piece of tape on your line. When you initially block that, I don't know that I'm going to leave it on there. I'm just kind of showing you guys some stuff you can do. Now I'm using a flexible block for this part because we do have this indent, rounded part of the door. No, this isn't the best block for flat panels, but I've got it in my hand. So you can see I got a big run in the primer. That's okay. And then you can see you're kind of maintaining your line, and you can do the same the other way. You know, I could tape it that way if I felt like that line needed to change a little bit. You know, I could tape it, make it a little bigger, and then block down to the tape. So you can fine tune your body lines that way. It's just kind of a simple way to do it. But this is pretty darn straightforward prepping. So I'm just going to continue on and get this all sanded, and then we will move on to prepping for the blends. And one other thing I was going to mention here, just in case you're wondering why I do it. Now, I drove this car out of the booth this morning and just left it masked up. I always do that if I can. For me, it's just if I break through the primer a bunch, or something needs to be reprimed, it just saves a step. It just saves some materials. It's the way we used to do it in the collision shop all the years I was in production work. So yeah, you know, in this case, so I had a slight little burn through on this edge, just a little bit of bare metal showing. I always just use a little shot of aerosol primer for stuff like that, only if it's small like that. And then when I do my final sanding on this, that'll all get sanded with it. So yeah, just the way I do it. I see in industry now, guys seem to use sealer on everything. All the years I was in production, this is how we prep stuff. You prep for paint. You know, I would only use sealer if it was necessary. New parts, you know, sometimes completes, just so you've got that uniform coverage. But I would never seal a panel like this, where you're going to have a halo of sealer, so to speak. I know you can blend all that in. It's just not the way I do it. I'm probably kind of old school, I suppose, being that I'm not in the collision industry anymore. You know, I don't, I'm not always up on the most up-to-date procedures. So just letting you guys know that the way I do things are just are just the way I do things. So anyway, just in case you're wondering why it's still masked up, but at this point I've got it all blocked. It all needs to be basically hand sanded with 400, so I'm going to pull the paper off and we'll start getting our blends done. So we're in the booth, ready to mask up for paint. Our panels are all prepped. So our primer areas are all finished to 400 grit, and then all of our other panels are sanded with 800 grit. So round up to here. I'm going to do a solvent blend to my clear coat up there. We're going to end the paint on this bumper cover on these sharp edges. And then I have sanded the front door with 800 grit as well. Probably would have been okay to stay in the back, but by the time we put paint on that door, it's going to be up to the front door, so it's better just to have the extra room to blend out the color, and then we clear coat everything. So we only put color over the primer, over the repairs, and then the rest of everything is clear coated. You know, I usually explain this times before in my videos, but this is how we maintain that factory color match. So because we're not just painting to the edge of that door, we're letting our paint go onto it, we'll still have this factory color match up here and everywhere else. So that is what base coat, clear coat systems are designed to do. So I'm ready to get masking, so I'm gonna do that and then we'll get her painted. So just a little bit of masking left here, but just something I was going to mention to you guys. Someone asked recently about the plastic that I use. So this is a 3M product, 06728. So this is treated plastic. Now this folds out, this will fold out one more time. I only buy the 16-foot wide rolls because I work on a lot of trucks. If you only work on little cars like this, probably the 12-foot rolls are good. But you can't just use generic plastic like this. This is treated. It actually says on it, paint this side, and make sure you always pay attention to that. Now, if I put this plastic on upside down, I put my paint on, let it dry, come in, put my second coat of paint on, the air pressure will actually flake the paint off of the plastic. It'll blow off, it'll stick in your finish. This treated plastic, the paint sticks to it and stays there. So make sure you're using the proper plastic, especially if you're doing it like I do and I'm kind of painting right up to it a lot of the time. I mean, if you are just using generic plastic, make sure you've got a good border of paper so that you don't have that happen. So just to clarify that for a few guys. And what are these? These are 70-foot rolls, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, whatever that is. 121 meters by, 400 feet by 16 feet. So yeah, that's 400-foot long rolls. Yeah. Obviously it's not cheap. I go through a lot of it. But gotta have it. So I'm gonna finish masking and then we'll go mix up some paint. So that's our first coat of white base coat on, 2 more coats of that, 10 minutes or so in between, and I'll bring you guys back when I'm ready to put on some clear. So there it is, all finished up, guys. So yeah, pretty straightforward little repair. What you saw me do up here, if you were watching the paint part, I decided a little envelope with the paper, so you lightly sand it back, blend off your clear coat, and then just blow a little solvent on it to melt everything in. It is pretty much invisible now, but I will just give it a light buff in the morning just to make sure. Yeah, I can't even see the blend, so that's pretty good. Unfortunately, the old moldings had to go back on. Not available. Not available through the aftermarket or through Volkswagen at the moment. Well, actually that's a lie. The wheel opening molding was available. The door molding was back ordered with no ETA. So customers said just throw them back on for now and we'll just deal with it when we can get them. I mean, it doesn't look that bad anyway now, at least with the body fixed up. So just a quick little repair, but hopefully somebody finds it helpful or interesting or something. But yeah, let me know, guys, what you think. If you do like the video, just give me a like or a subscribe or a comment or something. Or if you don't like it, you can comment. Tell me what you think. But as always, thanks for watching. Hopefully see you next week.